I guess I've had websites for about 10 years, but I was part of a startup company in the 90s. Our first website was like probably 1992 or something like that. And so I've been working in that area for a lot of years, but I left an organization and became an independent consultant in 2015. And that's when I really started to spend some time doing developmental work. And I found Divi about 3 years ago, maybe. And so I've kind of followed along. It's a progression and evolution for the last few years. I was using, different themes for different projects. And then I decided it was just too hard. So I decided I just wanted to use one very flexible page builder and theme, and that was adaptable and flexible and could be applied, that I could use it for almost any type of build. And so that's what I ended up doing. And so my spouse and I run a couple of educational websites called Inspired to Learn and Early Learning Cafe. They're websites that we also use Learndash as our learning management system. So we run Learndash on Divi WordPress sites and provide both synchronous and asynchronous learning opportunities for the early childhood educators that we have as students and clients. So.
Awesome, awesome. I'm working on building my first course, which is set to launch on Valentine's Day next month. And I also decided to go the Learndash route. So it seems like I would have questions for you this meetup because there's some stuff I need to figure out. Okay, yeah. Next up, Kathy, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
You know what? It's been a very restful day, and for that I am grateful.
Nice. I'm Kathy Sturman, and I started a web design company. I have a graphic design background and a marketing background. Worked for about 20 years for architecture and engineering firms, and decided to go out on my own and struggling a bit. I've been working with WordPress for 2 years, and I've been using Elementor as my page builder, but I feel like I should explore some other avenues as well, particularly since I may have clients that are working in the Divi environment. So I wanted to learn a bit more about Divi. And yeah, and I've got a client, or a potential client, who is working with Divi and has got a site that he's setting up for a client of his to do an online event. So I will have some questions for you guys if anybody has worked with any plugins for administering an online event. So it'd be registration plugins and anything else that might help with that sort of a situation.
Interesting, interesting. Great to have you. Thank you for making 2 meetups in a row. I appreciate the support so much.
Thank you for all the work that you put into doing these meetups.
I genuinely love to do them. And so it's always great to have somebody who supports you. Also, show that the work that you're doing, it matters and it counts. So thank you. I really do appreciate it, Kathy. And Adrienne, you're last but not least.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm having some connection issues, so my camera is off. I do apologize. I don't mean to be antisocial. So I work full-time in corporate communications. So I have a pretty extensive experience from a content management perspective with both WordPress and Drupal. But I'm so lying. Like last year, I decided to kind of take my design experience that I use in my 9-to-5 and start to apply it to my own business. So I have been trying to kind of get my own business off the ground, doing brand strategy as well as web design as an offering. So I started using Divi a year ago because I saw Christina tweeting about it. And it's been really good, but of course it's a learning curve. So I'm really just here to kind of meet other people as well, make connections, but then also just soak up all the knowledge that you guys have.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for being a part. And I see we have someone new who entered in. I apologize ahead of time if I pronounce your name wrong. Is it Arshu? Oh, sorry, Arshana. Would you be able to unmute yourself and tell us a bit about yourself, how you use Divi, and how you found the meetup?
Yeah, hi, I'm Archana Gupta and I have a small startup, Archu.tech, and I've been using Divi for like few years now. And I design most of the websites in Divi unless it's specified by the client. And I'm always open to learn new stuff in Divi. And I was just looking in the Meetup groups, so I just came across this Divi group, so I just signed. And it's a blessing in disguise that we can join, the Zoom meetings online and be at any part of the world. So yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm in Tampa, Florida.
Great, that's awesome. Thank you for stopping by, and hopefully we can all learn and glean and share from one another. Okay, so since there were no questions on the meetup page, does anyone want to open the floor with their first question that we can solve together? Floor is complete. Oh, wait, hold on. I have to introduce myself. I forgot. Sorry. So my name is Christina Gwira, and I am the founder and lead web designer at Noya Designs. I founded Noya Designs back in 2016, and it has transitioned from being a full service digital design and marketing firm into now focusing specifically on nonprofits and corporations who want to add a thread of social good into their service offering. So right now we are focusing on providing Divi website solutions for small, medium, and large nonprofit organizations, specifically based in Canada. In my free time, I love to hold meetups such as these to help more people learn about the power behind WordPress. I am a self-taught web designer as well as web developer. I learned everything that I know in terms of running my business, design, and development through the internet, books, YouTube, and putting my hands into the work. And so I find that it's always a great thing to be able to share your knowledge with other people. And that's why we have today's meetup, which is the Divi Brampton meetup. And it's hosted every last Thursday of the month from now it's going to be 6 till 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And on the last Wednesday of the month, I hold a generic WordPress meetup, which goes from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love vanilla ice cream. My favorite city to travel to and enjoy is Chicago. And I'm very excited to learn from everybody here. It seems like though it's a smaller group, it seems like everybody has some base knowledge of Divi, which is fantastic. So I definitely feel it's something where we could all learn something a little bit more high level, since I feel like we're all intermediate users here. And I see that Adrian, sorry, am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Adrian or Adri? Like how do I pronounce it correctly?
Got it, Adrian.
Adrian, got it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So Adrian, I see you unmuted yourself, so I will let you have the floor first and take it away.
Sure. So I guess I had maybe a generic question.
Okay.
And it's to do with mobile responsiveness.
Okay.
So I have this website that I'm working on, and I've got my hero images on each page. But when I'm on mobile, it's I mean, obviously it's resizing, but it's almost like it's zooming in.
Yeah.
Rather than actually resizing. And so now the pictures are tall, and it's focused on like one area of the photo. So I'm finding that I'm having to actually go into the full width header module and like manually say, okay, on mobile, I want a height of X. On tablet, I want a height of X. Whereas I thought, and maybe I'm incorrect, I thought that by adhering to Divi's Divi specs for the image sizing, that it would just automatically resize. So I guess my question is, am I doing it right by manually having to adjust the photo for each device, or am I doing it wrong when I'm uploading the image to begin with, and it should just automatically resize?
That's a great question. I'll take the answer. I'll try answering it first, and then the floor is open to everyone else to also provide their input. So for me, when it comes to using the full width header, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Firstly, I really generally wish that Divi would simply create a full screen slider / header properly so that we don't have to have issues like these, but it seems like they're never going to do that. So here we are. I believe that there is no right way of handling images when it comes to the full width header, just because literally on every site there's something, you learn something new and there's always something different. So I feel that there's no hard and fast rule. But what I've been doing lately is unfortunately actually no longer using. Well, okay, so I'll give you several examples of what I do to kind of mitigate what you're going through. But
Okay.
the long story short is what you're doing is correct. But again, there's multiple, in this case, there are many different ways to skin the cat. So one of the ways you found is what you're doing. One of the ways that I've used more frequently, which I've liked much better, is to actually stop using the full width module and actually just creating a section and using dividers and text, and then going into each of the responsive modes and editing that way. I find that I get a much better look and feel on tablet and mobile when I do it that way.
Okay.
A second thing I've been doing is actually when you go into, for the background specifically of the full width slider or the header, you can maybe want to check and see the background positioning. I think by default, Divi may have it as center, but you may need to change that to match the responsiveness of, to match the different, whether it's tablet or whether it's mobile. I did find on one website that helped in terms of what would happen is that it will, like you said, it will zoom into like the center of the image. And maybe in this particular case, the client had a photo where she was kind of like situated on the left-hand side and there was like all this space. So what I had to do was on mobile, I changed the background positioning from center to center left. And so what would happen is on mobile, she would be still on the left-hand side and then there'll be text on the right-hand side. So that would be like a second option. The third option, which is also something I've been very, very happy with, is creating a completely separate module for tablet and mobile, and then using the visibility settings in Divi to show or hide each of the sections. So I'll have the full width module for desktop, and then I'll have like a separate module, whether it's just a regular section or a regular full width section, to show on tablet and mobile. So those are the three different methods that I've used when it comes to dealing with the full width / full screen Divi slider / hero section. But the fourth method is also what you're doing, which is manually going in and setting a height for that section. So I open the floor to everyone else. If anyone else has any input, the floor is open.
Yeah, I'm not sure, like, if I got the question right, but I use the full width image and slide on few of my sites, and I use the VH and VW, the CSS thing. That's a viewport height and width, and it's just one piece of, the code, and it just makes it like, full width or full height on all the, devices. I can show you, like, one of my site. I'll just paste it on the screen.
While you're doing that, if I could just ask another question. I have two phones. I've got a Google phone and I've got an iPhone. My iPhone is small. And so when I test like the mobile view, it never looks the same. And I'm also like, is that normal? Like how do you, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be able to adjust it for every device kind of known to mankind, or is it kind of like if you've got an iPhone 6, too bad, you got to upgrade?
Anybody want to take a stab at this? So in my experience, what I've found is that, so I think one of the newest features that Divi has brought is actually being able to go in and edit on specific, so what it would look like on specific devices. So I do know that they've
Okay.
added that feature. But what it's been in my experience is just trying to figure out what works best for whatever device I have. Like you, I use Android, so I have a Google Pixel. My brother has the larger Google Pixel, and then my sister has an iPhone. And so what I try to use is basically see if it works on our three phones, and then you kind of have to be okay with not having it work on 100% of the mobile devices, but try and make sure that you're getting it to work some way, because I feel like it's I personally and professionally believe it's impossible to be able to have it be perfectly mobile responsive on every single device. But I do feel that you have to, if you can get it on, like, I would say definitely the iPhone and like a version of Android, that's a good start. Anyone, you're definitely free to chime in as well. And what I did was in the chat. So this session is being recorded, as with all sessions. So once this session is done, I'll upload it to YouTube tomorrow morning, but I'll also save the chat. So in the chat, we have some CSS code that can be used to create a full screen section. So like a very, very simple line of code if anyone is interested.
Thank you.
But going back to mobile responsiveness, it's really a matter of, you know, hoping for the best. But I do know that Divi recently brought in that feature where you can kind of see what your pages and posts look like in the builder on different devices, but I'm not sure if they've enabled us the ability to be able to change things for different devices specifically, as opposed to just like tablet, desktop, and mobile.
Yeah, I think I tried it and I went to like iPhone, I think like 6 view, and I tweaked it, but I realized that I'm not tweaking it for iPhone 6. It's just meant to show you what it looks like. So I ended up putting it back because then on my Android it looked bad. And I feel like most people have larger screens now than smaller. So I kind of just took that as the rule of thumb.
Yeah, I think also using things like what Archna said about using view height, view width, viewport, as well as percentages can also help as well.
Okay.
I feel like that's more forgiving as opposed to using pixels.
Okay, good to know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I find that I usually use a percentage when I'm defining an image or width of a module or I think I agree with everything you've said, Christina. I think it's just there are just so many different sizes that the three basic sizes that Divi adapts for in its responsive coding. It just doesn't cover all of the variables. So you pretty much have to try to get it so that it works, and then you do have to test it on the hardware, because what Divi shows you in its rendering of it is not always what it's going to look like. You can bring up an iPhone view of your site and then look on an actual iPhone's 7 or whatever, and it won't be the same.
Yeah, I've had that too. Very frustrating.
Yeah, even I experienced that, like, one of the site I made, like, there was an image on the header on the right side and there was text on the left. But when I viewed on the mobile, like in the developer thing, it was showing me the picture on the bottom. But when I actually see on the mobile device, there was no picture, just the text. Yeah, so I have to struggle, like, put the picture back, but I couldn't do it, like, because in the developer mode, I was seeing it. So I couldn't, like, it was hard to, diagnose the problem.
Kathy, Rick, do you have any input for us? Okay. Okay, well, Adrian, thank you so much for your questions. Do appreciate it. Floor is open. So any questions? I do have a crap ton of questions for Joe, but I'm just kind of saving this to the end. So anybody else? Floor is open. Questions, comments, gripes, rants, raves. Floor is open to anyone to participate.
Do we know if Rick is actually with us? He came in after we introduced ourselves.
Let me see. I'm gonna send him a request to unmute. But I did see that he registered on the Meetup page, so.
Okay, I just thought we should give him a chance to introduce himself. I forgot to mention that I'm actually in Napanee, Ontario, is where I'm located. Napanee is.
Way to Ottawa, right?
No, that's Nepean. Napanee is it's between Belleville and Kingston.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
415.
yeah. Okay, that's like Avril Lavigne, right? Isn't that where she's from?
Yep, I'm
Okay,
actually a guitarist, played on one of her albums.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Superstar in our midst.
Not really. It was an album that nobody knows about that she sang. It was a mixed album with a bunch of different female vocalists on it. She sang a couple of songs and I played guitar.
That's really cool.
wow.
And I've known her since she was a little kid. Like we were in production of Godspell together and stuff like that when she was 12 years old or whatever. So yeah, it's a small town. We all know everybody, especially musicians.
That is so interesting.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in years. So, but yeah, that's the town, Napanee.
I'm in Whitby, so I'm also capitalizing on the virtual stuff. I'm not in Brampton at all.
No,
you're not. This whole time I thought you were in. Well, I thought you were in the GTA.
I mean, Durham can kind of be GTA if you want to stretch it.
Okay, sure. Okay, fine, sure.
You're in between. Adrian's in between us.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm in the burbs.
Interesting. Okay.
Looks like Santa's joining us again.
Yes.
He was on. I don't know if some of you were on that. There was a Nelson Miller had a meetup in the New York meetup. I saw Santa was there. Hey, Santa. Yes. He's got his mask on. You have to unmute.
I haven't seen you in so long. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We were. I saw him on the. We didn't talk, but you were Santa. You were on the meetup with Nelson Miller, I believe. Yes. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, it was on using the. It was all about using the theme builder.
Yeah, that was great.
It was good.
So I had to go back and get my mask. Is it okay if I take it off now?
Yes, you can. We're social distanced enough.
All right, thank you. I'll just figure out how to do that and I'll be okay.
Awesome. So are there any questions or topics anyone wants to delve deeper into?
I have one. Can I take a turn now?
Yeah, for sure.
A second, I'm just trying to figure out how to take my mask off here.
Okay.
Let's see. Background and filters, right? This is all so much fun, but such a pain. I could not get my my camera to work. I rebooted a couple of times and I don't know what it is. I have most of my devices running through a USB hub into the side of my laptop, which only has one USB port. So I think it was something to do with that because eventually when I unplugged the USB hub altogether, then it was okay. There we go. Well, okay. My question is, I don't know if it's maybe too broad, but I've never completely understood what happens when you apply a theme on top of WordPress. There's a bunch of things in the dashboard that are there when you install WordPress. And somehow some of them get changed when you install a theme, and I'm not entirely clear what gets changed and what gets In other words, what gets replaced and what gets added. Is that too general, or could you go over that, Christina?
To be honest with you, and the floor will be open after I answer, so if anyone wants to add their input as well, would appreciate it. It depends on the theme builder. Sorry, not the theme builder, but it depends on the theme. And it could even also depend on the plugin as well. So for example, when I used to purchase themes from the marketplace themeforce.net, they would bundle plugins with their theme. So what would sometimes happen is, let's say, for example, a very popular page builder that was bundled with a lot of themes back in the day was WP Bakery. So what would happen is, when you install the theme, you might have a new module on the dashboard. You might have additional menu items or custom post types within the WordPress menu. And so there isn't really a hard and fast rule of what gets changed and what gets added. It really depends on the specific theme that you're installing and what they have deemed as necessary for the use of their theme.
Well, yeah, it's Divi that I'm most interested in. Is what happens when Divi gets installed. What does it replace or add to the WordPress dashboard?
From what I remember, I don't think Divi actually adds any modules to the WordPress dashboard. It definitely adds the project's custom post type. It definitely adds the Divi menu to it, which has like the theme builder, support library, etc. But to the actual modules on the dashboard, I don't think it adds anything.
Did you say project is something that's there just because of Divi?
Yes. So projects is kind of what Divi calls the custom post type, which is used in like the portfolio grid. It calls them projects. So that is definitely something that Divi adds to the default WordPress installation.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
That's been there for pretty much since the beginning of Divi.
Yeah.
They added a custom post type because it kind of fit a particular need at the time, and I'm surprised they haven't kind of pulled it out again, but they seem to keep it in there because it only serves. But I think essentially what a theme does is it rewrites your functions PHP and your CSS style files, and then sometimes through the functions, through PHP files, it adds, as you were saying, Christina, it adds things like the bakery, custom bakery, whatever it was. They've changed the name on that a couple of times, but anyway, that page builder that they was included with some of those theme forests. But I think it changes some of those core files, the functions PHP in particular, and the style CSS. Their CSS style file that goes with the theme and redefines that. I've never actually looked at I have a child theme with the Divi, which has been, the CSS file is all rewritten, but I don't remember looking in the style file with a vanilla, installation of Divi. There must be stuff in it.
Yeah, it's quite hefty. It's quite large, to be honest. Which is the main reason why I like using a child theme with Divi, just to kind of keep things a bit more sleek and visible.
When you say child theme, you mean is that when, okay, so I've installed WordPress on with my host environment, and then I now go into like the theme files and I create that child folder. Is that what you mean by the child theme, or are we talking about something different? I'm fairly new to child themes.
Oh, awesome. So child themes essentially allow you to, the way I would describe them is, child themes basically allow you to add custom functionality through CSS, PHP, coding, etc., without touching the main theme, parent theme file. So for example, let's say you have the Divi theme, that is all the files that Divi provides to you. Let's say, for example, you did some custom coding in a footer.php file. When you go to update Divi, let's say 2 weeks later, that code will be erased and replaced with the new updated footer.php code, let's say, for example. So what a child theme allows you to do is, depending on the file structure you set up in the child theme, you can overwrite some of the features, functionality, templates, etc. of the parent theme and have those customizations stay put even when you update the parent theme. So it allows you to be super creative, super custom with your theme, but it also enables you to save the work that you've invested in customizing a theme. So it's always best to have a child theme installed on your websites. And in the chat, I actually put a link to a child theme generator that I use for every website I build, just to kind of make the process easier. So this generator, it creates a child theme for you. It creates, so you can just literally plug in the information and upload that to your WordPress website. It doesn't change your customizer. It doesn't change anything like that, but it's just like, in case you need to do any hard coding to any plugins. That was a very big one on one project I had to do. I was building a directory and I wanted to do some custom coding to the way they laid out a specific page. If I had done that coding directly in the plugin folder, if I had updated the plugin, all of that would have been erased. My client would have been furious. I would have had to redo all of this custom coding. But by putting that particular file into the child theme according to the file structure, I was able to save that custom coding and still be able to update the plugin, update the theme, and basically have my coding be saved. So that's the purpose of a child theme.
Okay.
Is that program, is that a plugin that you posted in the chat, or is it a?
So I would call it a tool.
Is it a tool? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tool. So what it does is it will automatically generate the style.css, the functions.php. You can even upload the little custom thumbnail that happens on the theme. You can upload all of those things in there, and it will compress and compile all of those and create your child theme for you. And then when you upload Divi, you then upload this right after and make that your active theme. And now you have a child theme for Divi. I always found it very, very hard to create child themes from scratch. Something always never fully worked. And then I found this tool and I've been using it on all my client websites thus far.
And there's an even like an even simpler plugin that you can get that's just called Childify Me, and Childify Me, and that goes in the customizer, and then so you put your main theme in, and then you just go into the customizer and you click on Childify the theme, and then it will switch to the child theme. It doesn't give you as much control, Christine. It doesn't give you, you know, the opportunity to, like, if you were going to market, if you're going to create a child theme for Divi, and then sell that child theme with all the enhancements and changes that you've made, the way that Nelson does, for example, Nelson Miller, then you wouldn't be able to use this. This is just for somebody who wants to make a child theme of their main theme so that they can, as you say, make some modifications to the CSS or the functions PHP file as required, without screwing up their, you know, without it getting messed up the next time the theme gets updated. So it creates a sort of a second Divi theme that you get to name whatever you want for your site. And so to Adrian, that's just a really, really simple way, in one click, basically, to create a child theme of your Divi theme and then go from there.
And can you go backwards?
Well, you don't really need to go backwards because...
Sorry, by that I mean, if you've already got a site and is running the Divi theme, but now I'm like, okay, now I want to create a child theme. Can I create the child theme and then activate that child theme and everything is still in place?
Yes, absolutely. If you've made it changes to Divi, it will take the copy, it will copy the theme as it sits. Like, so any changes that have been made are copied into the new child theme,
Okay.
but they won't get overwritten.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. I have a question regarding the Childify theme, Joe. Do you have to have the plugin installed for the duration and the lifetime of the theme? Or could you, sorry, of the project? Like, does it have to be installed forever for the child theme to still be active? Or do you need to, or if you uninstall it, will the child theme disappear?
I'm not 100% sure, but I think you can uninstall the plugin after you've created the child theme, because the child theme will still, it creates it an independent child theme, and then so I think you can uninstall the plugin after you've created the theme, but I don't know if I ever have. I think I've just kind of left it there.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know.
All right, thank you for that. That's good to know. Any other questions? Comments, thoughts?
So being new to Divi, you were talking about Divi as a theme. When I use Elementor, it's a page builder. So I always have a theme and then add it as a plugin. Is that different from the way Divi works?
No, so Divi has the Divi page builder as well. And then there's the Divi theme. So you could use the page builder similar to the way you use Elementor on any website, or you could have the Divi theme and utilize the page builder.
Okay. And if you're not using the Divi theme, is there other themes that work well with Divi?
That's a great question. I honestly haven't tried using the page builder outside of using with the Divi theme, but Divi claims that the builder can work with any theme. And to be honest with you, I've only used Divi for the past 5 years, so I haven't really played around with other themes, but I would say personally, I'm about 90% sure that you could use the Divi builder on any theme out there.
The potential client I have, so what he set up is he's using Ocean WP with Divi.
Okay.
So I haven't played around too much with the site yet.
Ocean WP. Is that the theme?
Yeah.
That sounds so familiar. Is that similar to the Ocean Builder?
No, it's a WordPress theme.
Okay. Okay. All right. I guess it should work.
Yeah, I guess it seems to work okay for now. I'm just wondering if there's certain advantages to using the Divi theme as opposed to other themes. Is the Divi theme, as you said, vanilla? Like there's no.
When you say vanilla, what do you mean? Like you can use the builder on any theme, and then you can use the Divi builder with the Divi theme. So it can be a builder by itself, or you can use the theme with the builder already installed. Could you use, I haven't actually played around with using the page builder Divi on a theme that isn't Divi. But one thing, when I checked the Ocean WP website, I noticed that it seems to work very well with Elementor. So what I would probably recommend is to stick to Elementor, because it seems like there's a lot of integrations already with Elementor and Ocean WP. I don't know if you guys remember, there's a gentleman who pops into our meetups, our WordPress meetups every once in a while, and I believe he has like 3 to 4 page builders installed on a theme. I highly don't recommend doing that. And as such, I would recommend, if the theme says, hey, we work really well with Elementor, I would suggest sticking to that and following that. But I definitely feel that I should probably maybe spin up a WordPress installation and see if the Divi builder itself can work without the Divi theme. I think we might do that next month. And let me table that idea.
Well, it's just that this fellow that I've been in contact with recently, this is his installation. So the way
So he does want to do that. Well,
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it, to be honest with you. I think that I definitely do feel that there might be some smaller glitches with certain things, but I really don't know. But I don't, but maybe there isn't. I don't know, because I feel that, I forget what his name was. I feel like you could use certain modules, or even you can go even more granular and maybe have certain pages use Elementor and then certain pages use the Divi builder, or have certain functions. Because I noticed that that theme has like pop-ups and stuff like that. So you could probably utilize maybe some of those features, and then maybe have certain pages use the Divi builder and then certain pages use Elementor. I think it'll be very interesting. I definitely do think it's possible. Would I personally do it? No, but I think it is possible, and I think it's just a matter of being very diligent about where and how you're using each of the modules and the external plugins that come with the theme. But I think you can do it.
I think it makes me very nervous, actually.
I'm nervous for you too, but I think you can do it.
So my understanding from what you're saying here is that the page builder, whether it's Divi's or somebody else's, gives us a front end that lets us make a what you see is what you get image, and then it takes what we've created and turns it into the proper code for WordPress to serve it to the end user. So once it's been generated into the proper code, then it doesn't really matter where it came from, right? That's my understanding. It doesn't matter which page builder it came from, or whether it came from somebody editing raw CSS and PHP code.
Yes and no. So that's always been, I know that for people who are purists when it comes to WordPress and hate all the plugins and hate all the page builders, that's actually, I think, if I understand your statement correctly, that's actually one of their biggest issues and gripes when it comes to page builders, where it's like, if you do get into a situation where, let's say you do want to change themes or you want to change page builders, you're not really truly able to port over those changes or that CSS from, let's say, Divi Builder to Elementor. I do know that there was a period of time where I think very much in my early days as a web designer, when I was kind of trying to figure out which themes or themes to put in my toolkit, sometimes I would maybe start building on Divi, figure out I don't really like it in the early days of Divi, switch to another theme. And then what would happen is all the pages I had built in Divi would just be filled top to bottom with shortcodes, because I no longer was using the theme build. I was no longer using the Divi theme. And so the way that at that time, the way that Divi was handling showcasing the modules was through shortcodes. So it's not in every instance where if you were to switch builders, that what you had in the previous builder would translate over into the new builder, or even what happened in the previous theme would translate over into the next theme. That's, I think, one of the bigger problems and issues that people have with WordPress themes in general. And I think some people even go to say WordPress as a whole. So it's not always that where it's like, if you change a theme or you change a builder, the changes will copy over. Even your custom CSS may not apply when you're changing themes, because let's say, for example, if they had a certain CSS class for underlying links, the new theme you're changing to may have a totally different class name. So even though you had this custom code in your child theme, because the CSS classes are different, it would no longer apply. So that's why it's very important to, number one, find your tech stack and go deep into it, so that you know what the different variables could potentially be when you're dealing and working with clients. Does anyone have any feedback?
I was just trying to do a little bit of research, looking at the difference between the builder and the theme, installing the theme with the builder or just installing the Divi builder over another. Because I have done that in the past. I did have a site, and I didn't want to, I wanted a builder, but I didn't want to mess with the theme at that particular time. So I just put the builder on it. And I was trying to, it's quite a while ago, so I was trying to remember what the differences were. And but I don't think you have all the same options with the theme builder. That's a fairly new thing with Divi. And I think the theme builder depends on you, like it manipulates the Divi theme. So you have to be using the Divi theme, I think, for the theme builder to work. But you do have access to the layouts and that sort of thing with the Divi builder on its own. So you can still use all the same framework for the the builder, including layouts and so on. But what you're mentioning, Christine, I think is one of the big reasons why some people argue in favor of Elementor versus Divi, is because I haven't used Elementor only just a tiny bit, but my understanding is that it doesn't use all the short codes. Like, it doesn't add all of those interpreted specialized codes. What it does is it figures out what you want to do, and then it writes it in pure HTML, so that you're not getting all of those short codes. So that if you were to use Elementor to build a site, I'm not sure it's Elementor. I think it's Elementor that does not insert any special coding. It interprets and then builds the site in HTML5. And then, so what happens is, if you were to use Elementor to build a site, you could take Elementor out of it and the site would still just look the same. I think. I'm not sure if that's true of Elementor. Kathy, you might have an answer to that if you're familiar with Elementor. But one of those is, whereas other theme builders have an interpreter, like they put code in that the theme then, the theme builder has to be installed for it to interpret the code, as opposed to just being HTML. And I like Beaver Builder, I think, is one of those ones that does the same thing as Divi does. So that's one of the big arguments against Divi, is that if you commit to Divi, you have to stay with Divi, or you're going to have a shortcode stripper, and then you'll basically go back to building it all over again. Do you know, Kathy, whether Elementor does that?
I don't, but I had an experience recently where there was a glitch with an update, and it deactivated my, so you can get an Elementor free version and a pro version. And the pro version gives you a lot more features. But somehow there was an update done in the background, and the pro version deactivated, and then I kind of lost all the formatting. So I'm not sure what happened there, because I didn't think that should happen, because if you don't have a paid version, anything that you do in the paid version should still be there after your license is deactivated. What I've been told, and I haven't actually gone through this process yet, because the sites I've done are still active with the yearly paid version I have. So I'll see what happens after I deactivate them. But apparently, if you build it with the pro version, anything you've built is there after the license is deactivated, but you can't go back and edit any of those extra features, and you don't get updates. So I'm hoping that's what happens, because I built some sites for clients, and they're probably not going to pay for the license to keep that up. So I'm hoping that nothing's going to change afterward.
Yeah, that's one thing is good about Divi, that it's give the lifetime license versus, the 1 year or, one-time license.
Mm-hmm. I was looking into that a little bit today. So you pay, but you have to pay per site, right?
For Divi?
Yeah.
No, it's one license. I think it's just one time fee, and you get you can attach it to any site you build.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it create, like, for every client, it will create new license license, new API key,
Oh, that's
and you can even remember it. I mean, in your account, you can just write the client name and the API key. It's always there until you delete.
I'd
Oh.
recommend the lifetime. I bought the 1 year, and in hindsight, it's a waste of money because you get far more with the lifetime.
Yeah, I have the lifetime, so yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah, I think this year I'm going to, now that you guys all mention it, I feel like when I first decided to start paying for Divi, then I should have bought the lifetime, because
Mhm.
now it is like the foundation of my business. I don't see myself switching, and I've been using it for about 5 years now. But now if I add it up, if I add on the lifetime plus like the 3 years that I've paid thus far, I'm paying more for lifetime than I
Don't
would.
do that, Christina. Don't do that to yourself.
I know.
Well, that's good to know, because I thought it was per site, and I was thinking, oh, this is way too expensive. Elementor, the way they work is you pay like $50 US if you want for one site. It's $150 for 3 sites, or it's $200 for like 1,000 sites per year. So
I don't
yeah,
like
I looked at the Divi pricing. I
per
thought,
year.
"Oh, they're gonna have to pay $89 for every site." So okay, no, that's good to know. Thank you.
No, the lifetime is like, I have not seen any other, builder or theme builder which has this,
Yeah.
it's extremely useful, and you can even charge, some amount from your clients, it's cheaper for them too, like, and you make it for free, like, the license is free for you.
Yeah, it looked like a really good deal to me. I signed up for 1 year for the my first time, and then the second time I decided to go with the full lifetime. And I kind of went, ooh, that's not really very much. I hope they don't shoot themselves in the foot with this offer, because if everybody signed up for lifetime, I don't know what else they'd have to as a stream of revenue for themselves. But they do seem to be adding on other little things that you can buy. So
And I will say
I
as
think they'll
well,
be all right.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay. No, I'm done.
I was just going to say, for the price as well, like as someone who's fairly new to Divi, like the customer support is quite good.
Yeah.
You send tickets and they respond. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm actually embarrassed to say how many tickets I think I sent for my first website that I did, but they always responded. And if they couldn't help, they would always give me like another resource that I could reach out to. So I think I buy lifetime in a heartbeat.
How long is the response time usually?
It depends. There have been times when they've been very busy. And to be honest, I think the longest I've waited has maybe been like a day, like 24 hours. I think they're all over, like they're in different time zones. So oftentimes you might speak to a couple different people for the same ticket, depending on how much back and forth there is. But like on a regular day, maybe like within an hour, 2 hours, I get a response. And you don't have to be like, again, once you have the account, you just send the ticket and then you'll get the response via email, and then you can just kind of go back and forth wherever you are. So it's not like you have to log back in to respond to the ticket. You can just respond via email. So it's quite easy to go back and forth.
I've had a few very quick live chats with them as well. If you go to their website, you can click on the live chat button,
Mm-hmm.
and more often lately, you'll get a message that says, "Will be half a day to get back to you, so watch your email." But sometimes there's people right there waiting to talk to you, and you can have a chat and get the problem solved in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of the
Is good.
coolest things with Divi with Elegant Themes is that you can go into your Divi settings, and you can there's some settings in there that you can give them access to your website
Mm-hmm.
for a certain amount of time, like for 24 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
And they will actually come on and look at your site and see what it is that you're, kind of got that you've messed up, and give you a recommendation on what to do about it. I don't know of any other builder that has that kind of feature built in, where you can essentially get their remote help directly on your site.
Yeah, I agree.
Pretty much built my first site. Like, pretty much. They just give you code and they'll be like, here you go, just drop it in. And then there's your solution.
Yeah, I think that guy Nick Roach, who runs the company, I don't think he goes to bed ever. He must be up 24/7 because he's always got
Nick's
new
doing pretty
features he's
well.
adding, and oh my God, he's amazing.
He's doing pretty well for somebody who he'll be able to retire when he's 40, I think. Divi has a huge market share now. It's like
Do they really? Yeah. Wow.
25%.
That's good to know.
It's huge. Yeah, they're doing pretty well.
Interesting.
That's
So Joe, I have a question for Learndash. I'm trying to figure out how I want to, so my biggest question is regarding setting up the registration. I don't really want to invest in purchasing like a separate payment plugin. I plan on using PayPal, but I wanted to basically get your thoughts on the default PayPal registration process with Learndash and what that's like and pros and cons of that process.
Just using the default payment gateway that's built into this part of Learndash works quite well. It is, you can use PayPal, you can also use Stripe as well. And I found that that's really helpful to add the Stripe to PayPal. So you can use both of those. The only problem with it is that it doesn't give you like it ports people directly through based only on their email, and so you don't get to gather any other information unless you do there's some other tricks that you can do to try and fix that. But basically, it's just based on their email when they go to PayPal. And then Stripe, of course, puts a credit card payment right on your website. So they enter their credit card. It goes through to Stripe, so you're not collecting that information. But and it works pretty well if that's as far as you want to go. I ended up installing Easy Digital Downloads for the two sites that we have that we run ourselves. And then I have another site that I developed for the Canadian National Association of Real Estate Appraisers, and they use WooCommerce with Learndash. So kind of have a whole gamut of different approaches. The Easy Digital Downloads works really nicely because it doesn't have all of the other complexities that WooCommerce has, that you have to kind of adapt WooCommerce to sell digital products, whereas Easy Digital Downloads is already kind of geared for that. So there is a good tutorial on setting up Learndash with Easy Digital Downloads. There's a guy who wrote a tutorial on that, and I followed that pretty closely when I switched over to Easy Digital Downloads. And to be honest, I can't remember all the reasons I switched. For about a year we used just the built-in e-commerce, and it worked okay. I think the main reason I switched was because I wanted to have more of I wanted to have more information on the transactions, and I wanted to use. Well, the other thing is too is that my company is big enough that I have to charge HST on everything. So I needed to be able to charge HST on the courses that we were selling, and so you can't do that very easily with the built-in payment gateway in Learndash.
Okay, that was very, very helpful. So with Easy Digital Downloads, does that allow you to, let's say, for example, offer payment plans? So let's say they pay 50% upfront, and then maybe a month later they pay the final 50%. Or would that be a situation where it might be better to go with WooCommerce? The reason I'm very, very hesitant to go with WooCommerce is because it can get very expensive once you start investing in the plugins. And that's not something I want to do at this point in time. So I have experience working with WooCommerce subscriptions for clients, but for myself, I'm being very cheap. So how does Easy Digital Downloads work with that in terms of Learndash? Like, what is the purpose of Easy Digital Downloads? Can you tell me a bit more about the plugin? Because I have heard of it, but I've never actually used it before.
Yeah, so it's basically one of the e-commerce portals that is specifically designed to sell digital products and specifically downloads. So it's really they really started by selling by websites that sell plugins, for example, often use Easy Digital Downloads because they're selling a digital product. They're selling a download of a plugin, right? So, and then there are some information websites that use Easy Digital Downloads because they are selling PDF files, or they're selling some form of, or musicians often use it to download a music file, you know, so anything digital that you're downloading. There is a setting in Easy Digital Downloads that allows you to sell a service as opposed to a download, and it just quickly changes some of the parameters and some of the language to work so you're selling a service instead of an actual download. Easy Digital Downloads does integrate really nicely with Learndash. You can you simply have to say that what you do is you basically link a product with a course, and so you can when they buy the course, it will put it in their cart, you know, and then they will proceed, and they can buy more than one course. You can bundle courses together, which is harder to do. Although I think there's a new feature in Learndash that addresses. That has to do with groups. So if you wanted to sell, for example, one of the things we do is we sell a package of 4 courses. So if you take the courses individually, they cost a certain amount, but if you register for all 4 courses together, because they belong together, they're in the same series, then you can package those as a bundled product with Easy Digital Downloads. And it gives you some of the other things that you were asking about too. You can have a pay what you can offer, you know, so you could put up a course and people they set their own price for it, for example. Or you can have something that is a subscription that is paid over time. You know, you can also sell a subscription with Easy Digital Downloads, like that they pay a monthly fee to access all the courses that you have, and that sort of thing. So there's just a whole lot more flexibility. But it's also, I must say, it's not a problem to switch. Like once you start out doing sales using without using an e-commerce portal, it's not a big deal to switch over to it when the need, or when you get to that point where it becomes complex enough to need it. So you can easily start with the built-in e-commerce in Learndash, and then do that for 6 months or a year, and then switch over later.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that input. I think I found the link to the tutorial. I don't know. I'm going to put it in the chat, and you can let me know if this is what it is. But I'm definitely going to be playing around with that sometime soon. So thank you so much for that clarity.
What is the course you're offering, Christina?
So I'll be doing a course on technical SEO or on-site SEO, and I'll be showing people how to start their SEO journey on WordPress, Squarespace, Shopify, Wix, and Weebly. So that is what my very first course is going to be about. Search and
so important.
Yeah, it is important. And especially in my personal opinion, I feel that there really is going to be a push away from social media. and it's literally going to be filled with paid ads. And it could be very difficult for the little guy to be able to compete. And as such, I believe that learning about search engine optimization, it allows you to get ahead of these bigger corporations, but also it puts you head and shoulders above the competition because, for example, you can learn tactics in search engine optimization to drive traffic from Pinterest, or you can learn about offsite SEO to utilize websites like Quora or Reddit, again, to drive traffic to your websites. There's no paid ads involved. There's no money being exchanged. It's just time. It's just knowing the principles, which are fairly the same. But by knowing search engine optimization, you can take that knowledge to literally any platform that utilizes any form of search function, and you can be able to rank yourself, your content, your clients with really good and stable results. That's the major key here, because the half-life of an Instagram post is like 6 hours. But I've had a video that I made 7 years ago that still brings me passive income till this day on YouTube. And I utilized on-site SEO to be able to have it to continuously rank for the search term that I chose for it. So it is something that I feel will help the little guy. And I also detest Facebook ads, even though my sister is a Facebook ad strategist. So it's like a battle between like paid traffic and like organic traffic at my house every day. So, yeah.
I love it.
Is there anything else anybody wants to share? I think we're supposed to go until 9, but I then changed the time on the meetup to 8:30. But I feel like we've gone around the room, we've chatted, we've shared advice. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to share or get clarification on?
Nothing from me, but just as a general comment, this was my first meetup joining, and just want to say thank you. Thank you to you for leading. Thank you to the group. I was taking notes, so
Awesome.
lots of gems. So thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, so I will be saving after every meetup, whether it's the WordPress meetup or the Divi meetup, I record it, I upload it to YouTube, and I also make the chat available on my website, which is ChristinaGwira.com. So you can get, even yesterday's meetup will be on my website tomorrow morning. This meetup will be on my website tomorrow morning. So that yesterday's meetup was on fire. It was, I think we went over by 15 to 20 minutes yesterday. Kathy can attest. It was a lot of information was shared for yesterday's meetup. Yeah, so here's my website for the recaps. And I think I also did a meetup earlier this week talking about Divi, and it was and my qualms with Divi. So that would also be up. I actually need to get the recording from them. So that probably won't be up tomorrow, but it will definitely be up next week, Friday. So we have 2 new posts coming to YouTube. So if you haven't, you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I post tutorials there, I post blogs there, and all the meetups are stored there as well. So going back to, I think, August of last year, every single meetup that we've had is on YouTube, but you can also get the notes as well as the corresponding video on my website. And I did put the link to my website in the chat, directly going into the events page. So we do need to take a photo for Elegant Themes. So every time we do a meetup, they require us to take a photo. So if everyone could put on their smiles, I'm gonna do a screenshot very soon. Thank you, Santa. So let me buffer up Photoshop real quick. Okay, so let's see, 3, 2, 1. And then 3, 2, 1.
You're supposed to say Christmas tree.
Christmas tree, really? It's almost February. I think you have to do like a Valentine's Day Santa. That would be actually very cool. Well, everyone, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. I do appreciate your time and your input. It was a great session today. Thank you, all of you, for being here. And
Yes, Christina, thanks for doing
we
this.
will, I'm not sure, I'm debating about whether our next session should probably be trying to use the Divi builder with a theme that's not Divi. So I'm thinking of trying to use the Divi builder actually with the new 2021 theme, because I really like it, or it might be another site clinic. I'm not sure, but I'll send a message out after I upload this to YouTube tomorrow and kind of get your feedback. But do let me know what you'd like to see for our next meetup every last Thursday of the month from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Any final comments?
Can we share something, your thoughts about some security plugins? What do you use on your site? Like, as you start building a site before?
I'm gonna be honest with you, a little secret. I actually don't use any security plugins. So what I actually do is I try and do, okay, so my background is in telecommunications. So I mostly do a lot of security on the server directly, and that's pretty much where it all starts to me. So that's kind of my security. But when it comes to more of my enterprise clients, so larger nonprofits, I request that they get the security service, which I think comes in at $300 USD per year. I have heard of various firewalls, but I actually don't remember the names right now. But for security, for me, it's very, very basic. Keep strong passwords, disable user registration if you don't need it. Make sure your database password is secure. Make sure that your server is from a reputable company. Try and not use shared hosting if you or your client can afford it. Those are some of the general security tips that I try to adhere to, but the floor is open if anybody would like to contribute.
By shared hosting, are we referring to like a SiteGround, Flywheel, those guys?
So those guys, I don't think are shared hosting, or they have, okay, I could be wrong. I think they do offer shared hosting, but they do provide enhanced security for WordPress websites. So
Right.
I would say more so, run-of-the-mill Bluehost, HostPapa, HostGator, GoDaddy, and especially some of the more cheaper hosting plans out there, $5 per month, $10 per month. Those guys, try and stay away from them because they typically are doing shared hosting and they're overcrowding servers, and that typically always leads to some form of hacking. I had a client I'm dealing with right now who signed up for a maintenance plan because their site just got hacked. And so I find that shared hosting is notorious for that, but yeah. So those are some of my tips. But Flywheel and SiteGround are very good when it comes to WordPress hosting. So I would recommend those two for sure.
Yeah, I'm on SiteGround most of my sites. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, SiteGround, there, even on their shared hosting, they have some walls, between, so that you don't have the same vulnerability that you do with some shared hosting plans. So there's a company out of Montreal called Web Hosting Canada that I just put someone on a shared hosting plan there. It was extremely inexpensive. Like it was, I think they paid for their first 3 years for $180 or something like that, was for 3 years of hosting. And it's a cPanel, basic cPanel installation, but they just acquired Cybername from Ottawa as well, Web Hosting Canada. So Cybername is now going to be a subsidiary of Web Hosting Canada. But I've been quite impressed by them. Their help is instantaneous and very, very strong. Like their support from Web Hosting Canada. I was quite impressed actually for a shared hosting site. They offer dedicated servers too, but I assume, Christina, that you are using dedicated server for your own work.
Yeah, so I have a co-location based out of Etobicoke, so that's what I use. But I have actually worked with Web Hosting Canada. I have 2 clients that have been working with them, and I definitely do echo your sentiments on their support. Very, very responsive, and I always try and support local hosting companies, which is why I host my own stuff. But yeah, they're very, very good. I had a client that had a bit of a very tricky setup, moving a 15-year-old WordPress website to the present time, and they've definitely helped with that. So I would also say give them a shout out as well. I actually put their
What was the name
website.
again? Sorry.
Web Hosting Canada.
I'll make a note. Thank you.
No problem. I'm actually going to put their URL in the chat. Okay. Well,
I was going to say too, Christina, with Learndash, I put Wisdom Labs and Woo Ninjas up there. They're a couple of plugin developers that work with both Divi and Learndash together. So
okay.
great to find, you know, a developer who can, you know, bring those two things together. And Wisdom Labs is based in, they're in India, and I bought, I think about 20 hours of their time at one point to help me. I was subcontracting them. I had too much work to do, and so I got them to do some development work. And then I did part of it as well. And they are really good. I really like working with them actually. They've developed several plugins for Learndash, including things like quiz reporting tools and things like that.
Okay.
So it's one of the weaknesses in Learndash is that, you know, you can have people do exams or quizzes and you don't have much way of seeing the outcomes from that. They're mostly meant for just giving feedback to the student. And so, but if you're with this one company that I work with called or this organization, Canadian National Association of Real Estate Appraisers, they have to do online exams and give accreditation, you know, so it's they need to know, I mean, these are online accreditation exams that we run through Learndash. And
Wow.
so we needed to get better reporting tools. And the Wisdom Lab stuff is really good. And Woo Ninjas makes a plugin to import, so you can develop a quiz, or an exam in a spreadsheet, and then just import it to Learndash. That's what I use Woo Ninjas to do.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I'll definitely see if they have any resources that I can use as I'm fleshing out my course. Well, everyone, thank you again for your time. I hope to see you next month. I will send a message out through Meetup with the link to the recording as well as the chat for today's session, and look forward to seeing you next month, last Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye, Christina. Thank you.